If you've struggled with IBS, gas or bloating, constipation, diarrhea, or any of those nagging gut symptoms, listen up, because in this video, I'm going to share 3 mistakes that most women make when trying to fix gut issues like constipation and those other nagging gut issues. My name is Erin Harner. I'm an integrative registered dietitian nutritionist and IBS and gut health specialist. Let's just jump right into those 3 different mistakes. First mistake I often see women making is asking the wrong questions. So the first question I often see women asking is, what's going on? What is wrong with me? Why am I having these symptoms? But the why there is the biggest part. That's the most important question. Why are these things actually happening? I really like to ask all of the W questions. Who, what, when, where, and most importantly, why? Why is this happening? What are the actual root causes that's leading to these symptoms? Because gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, reflux, those aren't the problem. They're the manifestation of the problem. They're what you notice, but they're not actually the issue. We have to ask the why question. Why is this happening? What's going on in my body that is causing this symptom to appear? So when we ask why, it forces us to go into the roots. So when we dig down into the roots, we find the answers to our problems. So genetics. Why is this presenting for me? Is there a genetic component? What about digestion? Digestion starts in your brain and goes all the way from your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, small intestine, and large intestine, and all of the organs in between that contribute to the digestive process. But oftentimes there are problems, right? Things can go wrong in the digestive process. Next up, we have inflammation. So are there inflammatory things going on in the gut? Is the gut inflamed? Is the gut really angry? And that's why you're experiencing symptoms. And what about the microbiome? Are there imbalances or dysbiosis in the microbiome? Are there critters there that shouldn't be, like parasites or other undesirables, like overgrowths of candida, for example, right? Why are these symptoms manifesting? That's mistake number 1. We're asking the wrong questions. We need to know why. Mistake number 2 is trying to do it on your own. And this is a mistake I made personally for way too many years, more years than I would like to claim or credit myself for, but trying to figure this out on your own can be really tricky. It's really helpful to seek help, right? This could be from a conventional gastroenterologist. And I love gastroenterologists. I think they're great. And they're awesome at answering that what question. What's going on? They can do diagnostic testing. They can do like scopes. They can do different scans. Those are all amazing. And I think they're a really important piece of the puzzle. And we have to go deeper, because if we're relying on a conventional gastroenterologist to solve all of our problems for us, we're going to just be stopped where their experience and expertise ends, and that's usually with a prescription pad or a recommendation for Miralax and Linzess, right? So we have to realize that if we're seeking conventional medicine treatment for symptoms that we're experiencing, we have to understand what we're actually looking for and which questions we're asking. What functional medicine does, and this is the field that I'm in and what I practiced for the last 15 years, is asking the question why, digging deeper, figuring out what's going on in the roots that's causing these problems, and then reversing everything from genetic components, which can be modified with diet and lifestyle, digestion. How do we optimize digestion from top to bottom, starting in our brain all the way down from mouth to anus? Inflammation. How do we reduce the inflammatory burden so we can start feeling better and reduce the inflammation in the gut, which contributes to a lot of symptoms? And what about the microbiome? We can rebalance the microbiome with physical activity, with diet, with lifestyle factors, also some supplements. Those can all be important pieces to the puzzle. We have to remember that trying to figure this all out on our own can be daunting and be really, really hard, because we can't see what we don't know. The third mistake I often see women making when they're trying to resolve gut issues is cutting out large numbers of foods and trying to figure out the trigger foods without understanding what our actual target is. Let me explain what I mean there. We have this saying in functional medicine, in the functional nutrition world, called heal versus ideal. Sometimes we have to rely on a healing diet or therapeutic diet or cutting out trigger foods, for example, so we can figure out what's actually going on. And so we can get you feeling better enough to do the things to get to the ideal place where we want to be. My goal when I'm working with clients is to get to the widest variety of foods that you could possibly eat without symptoms. That's my goal. That's the target. That's where I'm trying to get. But we have to remember that sometimes we have to take a step back before we take a step forward. We have to actually limit or restrict or decipher trigger foods, figure out what lifestyle factors are therapeutic and beneficial for you versus which ones are actually making things worse. We have to potentially institute things like the low FODMAP diet or the specific carbohydrate diet or some other things to help you get to where you want to go. So sometimes we just want to feel better right away, except that's short-term thinking. And what we need to do is actually take a step back and say, okay, what do I need to do right now so that in a couple months, 2 to 3 months, I can be feeling so much better that I can rapidly expand my diet because my gut is better, right? It's less inflamed. It feels better. There's less symptoms. There's less response to trigger foods. There's better digestive processes going on all the way from top to bottom, right? Things are working better. You're pooping regularly, for example, right? If you're somebody who's constipated. So we have to remember that we have to take a step back often before we can take a step forward. However, another mistake I see, this is 3 part B, is that when we take things out, we actually have to put them back in, right? So many people I work with will come to me seeing just like eating just a handful of foods. They've cut out so many foods out of their diet that they're so unbelievably restricted that they're feeling miserable and their symptoms are still not resolved. So we have to ask a question like, is that actually helping? Or is that severely restricted diet contributing to potentially other problems like further gut dysbiosis because you've reduced the diversity of your diet so much? They're actually killing off strains of bacteria. What we want for gut health, for robust gut health, to feel good in our bodies, is to eat a wide variety of foods, to do supportive lifestyle things, walking and exercise and meditation, all of these things that are incredibly supportive for the gut, for the brain, and for our bodies to feel healthy and strong. But we have to remember that there's a difference between heal and ideal. We got to do the heal first, and then we can get to the ideal stage. And we can't jump straight to ideal because we have to do the healing stage first. And we also don't want to go back to heal and then get stuck there because we're going to have problems long term because we're going to cause further issues with the gut microbiome. So these are just 3 mistakes that I often see women making who are trying to resolve gut issues. If any of these resonated with you, I want you to leave a comment below.